Some athletic wear is designed to survive sweat, friction, stretching, washing, and real training, but some of it is designed to survive something else entirely. Instagram, celebrity photos, and a mirror selfie after a workout that may or may not have happened.
Two hoodies can look almost identical. Same color, same crop fit, same big promise of performance. But one is priced because of fabric, testing, seams, mobility, and durability. The other because people want to be seen wearing it. And that is the real question behind this entire video. Are you paying for what the garment does? Or are you paying for what wearing it says about you? Because athletic wear has become one of the most confusing categories in menswear.
A t-shirt can be training gear, streetwear, luxury fashion, wellness branding, influencer merch, or actual equipment. And sometimes the difference is not obvious until you train in it, wash it 5 times, and realize whether the logo was doing more work.
So we are separating 10 athletic wear brands into 2 sides. 5 brands built heavily on hype, and 5 brands built more clearly around performance. The point is not that every hype brand is bad. Style has value, identity has value, culture has value, but if a brand charges performance prices, it should deliver performance under pressure. Let's follow the money. 1, Gymshark, the influencer gym uniform. Gymshark is the perfect place to start.
Because it shows how modern athletic wear stopped being just product and became social proof. The brand presents itself as a fitness apparel company rooted in community, and its own official materials emphasize online scale and social media presence.
That is not a side detail, that is the engine. Gymshark did not become massive because it invented a new compression technology. It became massive because it understood the modern gym better than almost anyone else. The gym is not just a training space anymore, it is a stage. The mirror is a camera. The pump is content, the outfit is part of the performance, and Gymshark became the uniform of physique culture.
You see the promise immediately. Wear this, and you are inside the transformation economy. You are close to the influencers, you are close to the body you want, you are close to the community that makes fitness feel visible.
That is powerful branding, but now flip the piece inside out. Look at the seams, look at the fabric. Look at the stretch recovery after repeated wear. Look at whether the shirt keeps its shape after washing, whether the shorts ride up during squats, whether the waistband rolls, whether the fabric breathes when you are actually sweating. Gymshark can deliver decent gym basics. It is not costume clothing. Many pieces are usable for lifting, casual training, and everyday gym wear. But the question is whether the emotional premium comes from engineering or from association. Compare that with 10,000.
10,000's value proposition is not, look like the guy on your Explore page.
It is more like, does the liner chafe? Does the short move? Does the fabric dry? Does the pocket bounce? That is a different philosophy. With Gymshark, the buyer often funds the image of training. The silhouette, the fitness tribe, the influencer ecosystem, the judgment is this: Gymshark is not fake athletic wear, but it is athletic wear where identity often arrives before engineering. Alo Yoga, wellness luxury disguised as performance.
Alo Yoga sells a very different fantasy. Gymshark sells the transformation body. Alo sells the expensive calm body.
The body that drinks matcha, walks out of a studio in perfect lighting, and somehow looks relaxed while wearing a full expensive outfit. Alo's own retail positioning blends yoga, working out, studio to street clothing, and celebrity-approved appeal. That phrase matters, studio to street, because the product is not being sold purely as equipment. It is being sold as a lifestyle environment, but you are not just buying leggings, hoodies, tanks, or sweats. You are buying proximity to wellness luxury, and Alo is very good at this. The stores feel polished, the branding feels clean, the colors feel expensive, the clothing photographs well.
Even when the item is basic, The context makes it feel elevated, but performance asks a colder question.
Does this fabric handle hard training? Does it breathe during a long session? Does it resist pilling? Does the garment survive repeated washing? Does the construction justify the premium? Or does the atmosphere around the product do most of the work? Alo may perform well for yoga, light training, travel, and casual wear. But when you compare it to brands that build around a specific sport or training need, the difference becomes clearer.
Tracksmith builds around running, 2XU builds around compression, 10,000 builds around high-output training. Alo builds around the wellness identity. That does not make it worthless. It means the buyer needs to be honest.
If you want a clean, premium, studio lifestyle look, Alo makes sense. But if you are buying it because you believe the price automatically means harder use performance, slow down. The test is simple. Would the piece still feel worth it if no one recognized the brand? With Alo, sometimes the answer is yes, but often the calm luxury aura is doing a lot of the lifting.
3. Fear of God Athletics, sportswear as fashion signal. Fear of God Athletics is one of the most interesting examples. Because it sits right on the border, this is not some random logo slapped on a blank hoodie.
It is connected to Adidas, Jerry Lorenzo, basketball language, performance language, and a very specific luxury athletic aesthetic. Adidas describes Fear of God Athletics as a merger of design, performance, and lifestyle, including footwear and apparel. And that sentence tells you everything. Design, performance, lifestyle, all three are in the room. But which one are you mostly paying for? Fear of God. Athletics borrows from sport.
The proportions are athletic, the colors are controlled, the pieces feel like they belong somewhere between a tunnel walk and basketball warm-up.
And a luxury streetwear lookbook. The promise is not just train better. The promise is look like sport has been translated into taste. That is a strong aesthetic proposition. But when athletic wear moves into designer territory, performance becomes only one part of the price. Silhouette becomes expensive, scarcity becomes expensive, cultural cachet becomes expensive. A hoodie is no longer just a hoodie. It is a signal that you understand the intersection of sport and fashion. Now compare that with Lululemon men's training gear.
Lululemon also sells status, let's be honest, but many of its men's training pieces are still built around movement.
Stretch, sweat management, abrasion resistance, and movement, its current men's training category emphasizes technical fabrics made for motion and sweat.
With Fear of God Athletics, the product may perform, but the performance is not always the main reason people want it. They want the shape, they want the association, they want the quiet flex, and that is the key distinction. Fear of God Athletics is not pretending to be cheap gym gear. It is openly selling a luxury interpretation of sport. So the judgment is nuanced. If you buy it as fashion, it makes sense. If you buy it as the most efficient performance purchase, the math gets harder.
4. Rude, racing, sport, and luxury streetwear hype. Rude is sport as reference, not sport as tool.
The brand describes itself as a Los Angeles design venture balancing luxury techniques with streetwear elements. And its current catalog includes racing tees, track jackets, shorts, hats, hoodies, and luxury-priced streetwear pieces. That tells you where Rude lives. It is not trying to compete with a compression tight from 2XU. It is not trying to build the best short for interval training.
It is using the visual language of movement, racing graphics, athletic silhouettes, track-inspired shapes, motorsport energy,
and turning that into luxury identity. And that can be cool. A racing tee can look great. A track jacket can make an outfit. A graphic short can carry the whole look. But let's not confuse visual speed with athletic function. A motorsport graphic does not make the cotton more breathable. A track silhouette does not mean the pattern was tested for sprinting. A sporty reference does not mean the garment is built to survive sport. This is where buyers get tricked. They see athletic codes and assume athletic purpose.
But in luxury streetwear, sport often becomes decoration. You are paying for taste, reference, exclusivity, and design world status.
You are not usually paying for lab-tested moisture management, compression mapping, or anti-chafe construction. Compare Rude with Reigning Champ. Reigning Champ also makes elevated athletic basics. But the value is much more tied to construction, fleece weight, seams, durability, and restrained design. The brand says it focuses on pinnacle materials, quality construction, and understated simplicity. Same broad category, expensive casual athletic pieces. Completely different center of gravity, Rude says, look at the reference. Reigning Champ says, look at the garment.
And that is the judgment. Rude can be great fashion, but it is usually not performance wear. It is sport converted into status. 5. Supreme athletic pieces. Performance secondary to drop culture.
Supreme is the extreme version of hype economics, because with Supreme, the product does not always need to outperform anything. The logo can do the work. Supreme's official site still anchors the brand in New York and its 1994 origin. And culturally, Supreme became one of the most influential examples of streetwear scarcity, skate identity, collaborations, and drop culture. A 2025 timepiece on the ESPN documentary Empire Skate describes its rise from a 1990s New York skate shop
into a global fashion icon associated with drops, collaborations, and consumer culture. That is the point.
Supreme did not just sell garments, it changed the way garments are valued.
A basic athletic piece, a sweatpant, a mesh short, a warm-up jacket, a jersey, can become expensive not because it is technically superior, but because it exists in limited supply with the right logo. At the right cultural moment, the garment becomes a ticket into scarcity, a ticket into the tribe, a ticket into resale value, and that is very different from performance.
Turn a Supreme athletic piece inside out and ask the same questions. Is the stitching better?
Is the fabric more durable? Is the fit engineered for training? Is the ventilation placed for movement? Is the price connected to the product or to the fact that people know what the box logo means? Sometimes Supreme makes solid items. Sometimes it collaborates with brands that know performance. Sometimes the quality is fine. But fine is not the same as performance justified. A $70 athletic short and a more expensive logo-driven short can both be polyester, both can have an elastic waistband, both can move.
But one is priced for use, and one is priced for cultural recognition. That is not automatically wrong. But the buyer must know the deal. With Supreme athletic pieces, performance is often secondary.
The logo is the main technology, the turn. Now comes the part the industry prefers you not to compare. Because expensive athletic wear is not automatically a scam, some brands really do put more money into the garment.
Not into the campaign, not into the celebrity, not into artificial scarcity, into the liner, the paneling, the stitch, the fabric, the cut, the recovery, the durability after the 10th wash.
The next 5 brands are not perfect. They can still be expensive. They can still use branding.
They can still sell aspiration, but their strongest argument is not just people want to be seen in this. Their strongest argument is this thing has to work. 6, 10,000, training gear with a function-first promise. 10,000 is what happens when athletic wear starts with the workout instead of the mirror. The brand's product pages focus on details like liners, quick-drying fabric, strategic airflow, odor control, chafe-free support, and repeated training use. That language is not accidental.
It is not selling you a tribe first. It is selling you a problem being solved. Shorts that do not chafe, fabric that dries, a liner that supports without becoming a diaper.
Pockets that do not bounce, a cut that lets you squat, sprint, lunge, row, and run without fighting the garment. That is where performance value becomes visible. The best test for 10,000 is not the hanger test. It is the session test. Wear the shorts for heavy squats, sled pushes, a run, and a wash cycle. Then ask, did anything annoy you? Because great training gear often disappears.
It does not call attention to itself. It does not need a giant logo. It does not need to shout. It just refuses to fail in the small places where cheap gear fails. Compare this with Gymshark.
Gymshark gives you the visual language of the gym. 10,000 gives you the mechanical language of training. One makes you look like you belong in the environment. The other is trying to survive the environment. That difference matters. The buyer is funding different things. With Gymshark, a larger part of the value may come from social identity. With 10,000, the value is easier to locate in the product, liner design, fabric behavior, cut, and durability.
The judgment is clear. 10,000 is not cheap, but the premium has a practical argument.
7. Tracksmith, running heritage with real technical intent. Tracksmith is a more complicated case because it absolutely sells aesthetics. The brand loves running heritage. It loves the old amateur spirit. It loves collegiate colors, classic silhouettes.
Built around training, competition, and running culture, so yes, there is image here. But the important question is whether the image is tied to a real sport. And with Tracksmith, it usually is.
Running is specific, it is repetitive, it is unforgiving. A bad running short announces itself in 10 minutes.
A bad singlet sticks. A bad seam rubs. A bad waistband bounces.
A bad fabric turns into a wet towel. Tracksmith's premium makes more sense when you judge it against the demands of running. Rather than against generic gym fashion, the brand is not just asking you to look like an athlete. It is asking you to identify as a runner. That is different because runners punish clothing through repetition. Miles expose nonsense. A shirt that looks beautiful but traps heat is a bad running shirt.
A short that photographs well but chafes after 8 miles is a bad running short. A singlet that feels vintage but does not breathe is costume.
Tracksmith's challenge is that its heritage aesthetic can make skeptics wonder whether they are paying for nostalgia. And sometimes that is part of the price, but compared with hype-first athletic fashion, Tracksmith gives you a more coherent answer. The sport comes first, the style supports the sport, the test is simple, run in it. Do not judge it by the cafe, judge it at mile 6, the judgment. Tracksmith charges for taste, but it also has to answer to the road.
8. 2XU, compression as actual performance equipment. 2XU is where we separate fashion compression from technical compression.
Because tight clothing is everywhere now, a tight shirt can be a body display. A compression short can be a silhouette. A base layer can be sold as performance.
Even when it is mostly just stretchy polyester, but 2XU built its identity around compression as equipment. Its official compression category emphasizes graduated compression, muscle support, circulation, fatigue reduction, performance, and recovery.
Whether every buyer needs that level of compression is a separate question, but the product logic is clear. This is not just about looking athletic. This is about applying pressure in a controlled way.
The difference matters because real compression gear must do more than fit tight. It needs zones, it needs recovery, it needs stretch that returns, it needs seams placed where they do not destroy comfort.
It needs enough structure to support without feeling like a cheap costume.
Fashion compression says, look at the body. Performance compression says, support the body. That is the dividing line. Compare 2XU with Alo or Gymshark compression-style pieces. Those brands may make tight gear that looks good.
But 2XU's argument is more technical. The customer is not simply buying the image of athleticism.
The customer is buying a garment that claims to affect how the body feels during and after effort.
Now be careful, no shirt or tight magically replaces training, recovery, sleep, or programming.
But if you are going to pay premium money for compression, this is the kind of brand where the claim belongs. The judgment, 2XU is not hype-free, but compression is the product, not just the look.
9. Reigning Champ, Construction First Athletic Basics. Reigning Champ is not exciting in the way Supreme is exciting. And that is the point. It is not built around a weekly drop frenzy.
It is not trying to make you feel like a celebrity leaving a private gym.
It is not turning every hoodie into a status event. Reigning Champ is about athletic basics with construction as the main selling point. The brand says it was founded in Canada in 2007 and focuses on materials, quality construction, and understated simplicity. Retail descriptions of its heavyweight fleece pieces often highlight details like made in Canada production, brushed fleece, flat lock seams, and durable ribbing.
That is the kind of information serious buyers should care about. Because a hoodie is not just a hoodie.
A cheap hoodie collapses, the cuffs stretch, the zipper waves, the shoulder seams twist, the fleece pills.
The shape gets tired, a better hoodie ages differently. The weight feels intentional.
The seams lie flatter, the fabric keeps structure, the ribbing does not give up immediately. The piece becomes boring in the best possible way. It keeps doing its job. Reigning Champ is not always performance in the sense of sprinting or high-intensity training.
It is performance in the sense of construction performance. Durability is a form of performance. Fabric weight is a form of performance. Stitch quality is a form of performance.
This is why Reigning Champ is such a strong contrast to Rude.
Rude uses athletic references to create fashion energy. Reigning Champ uses athletic basics to create long-term reliability. One is about the symbol, the other is about the object. The buyer has to decide what matters. If you want a dramatic fashion statement, Reigning Champ may feel too quiet. But if you want a sweatshirt that earns its price through fabric and construction rather than logo volume,
this is the correct side of the comparison, the judgment. Reigning Champ proves that basics can be premium without being loud.
10. Lululemon men's training gear. Mainstream premium with real utility. Lululemon is the final brand because it forces a nuanced judgment. It is absolutely a status brand now. No serious person can deny that. The logo means something. The shopping bag means something. The fit means something.
Lululemon has become part of the uniform of upper middle-class fitness, travel, remote work, and polished casual clothing.
But here is the part critics sometimes miss. A lot of the product still works.
The current men's training category includes pieces like Pacebreaker shorts, License to Train shirts and shorts, Metal Vent Tech Tops.
Joggers, and other training gear positioned around motion, sweat, and technical fabrics. Lululemon also maintains categories for abrasion-resistant clothing and training pieces, which supports the idea that durability and movement are still part of the product language. This is what makes Lululemon different from a pure hype brand. Yes, the brand image is expensive, but the garments often give you something back. Stretch that feels better. A fit that works in the gym and outside it. Shorts that move well.
Shirts that handle sweat better than a random cotton tee. Pants that can go from training-adjacent activity
to errands, to travel without looking sloppy. That versatility is real value for a lot of men. The criticism is not that Lululemon is useless. The criticism is that some buyers stop evaluating the product. Because the brand already feels validated, do not do that. Turn the piece inside out. Check the fabric composition, check the seams, check whether the item is built for training, running, yoga, lounging, or lifestyle. Because Lululemon sells all of those things, and they are not the same.
A training short is not a lounge short. A soft hoodie is not technical outerwear.
A smooth fabric hand feel is not automatically durability. The smart buyer does not worship Lululemon. He audits it, and when you audit it, many men's training pieces still hold up. The judgment, Lululemon is status plus utility, not pure performance, not pure hype. The key is choosing the pieces where the utility is still stronger than the logo.
Final judgment. So what did we actually learn? The athletic wear market is not split between cheap and expensive.
It is split between two types of expensive. Expensive because people want to be seen in it. And expensive because the garment has to survive use. Gymshark sells community, physique culture, and the influencer gym uniform. Alo sells wellness luxury and studio to street status. Fear of God Athletics sells sport translated through designer identity. Rude sells athletic references as luxury streetwear. Supreme sells the ultimate version of logo power and scarcity. None of that is automatically worthless, but it is not the same as performance.
On the other side, 10,000 puts the conversation into liners, movement, and training function. Tracksmith connects heritage aesthetics to the real punishment of running. 2XU treats compression as equipment.
Not just a tight silhouette, Reigning Champ proves that fabric weight, seams, and construction can justify premium basics. Lululemon shows that a mainstream status brand can still deliver real utility when the product is chosen carefully. The question is not, is this brand cool? That is too easy. The real questions are better. What fabric is being used? What sport is this actually designed for? Is the fit functional or just flattering? Is the stitching built to last?
Does the waistband stay put? Does the liner chafe? Does the fabric breathe?
Does the piece recover after washing? And the most uncomfortable question of all, would this still be worth buying if nobody recognized the brand? Because that is where the truth comes out. If the answer is yes, you are probably paying for product. If the answer is no, you are probably paying for identity. Again, identity is not worthless. Sometimes you buy the thing because it makes you feel sharp, disciplined, part of a culture.
Connected to a version of yourself you are trying to become. That is real.
But do not confuse that with construction. Do not confuse hype with fabric. Do not confuse scarcity with performance. Do not confuse a logo doing social work with a garment doing physical work. The most expensive mistake in athletic wear is not buying a pricey hoodie, short, or training shirt. The most expensive mistake is not knowing why it is pricey. So before you buy the next piece, follow the money. Is it going into testing, into material, into cut, into stitching, into sport-specific design?
Or is it going into the campaign, the celebrity, the drop, the logo, and the feeling that the clothing makes you part of something? That one question can save you hundreds of dollars.
And it can make your wardrobe better. Comment the athletic brand you think is most overhyped, and the one that actually survived years of use, not the one that looked best on day one. The one that still worked after sweat, friction, washing, and real training. Because that is when the logo gets quiet and the garment finally has to speak for itself.